how to do that. So I'm going to quickly share my screen and talk about how we can actually engage in a meaningful way. So the first thing we have to actually do is to find out who is our local MP. And that's really easy to do. You can just say, my local MP. You can click on this. And then all you've got to do is put in your postcode to find out who is your MP. This isn't my actual postcode, by the way, but it's my work postcode. And then what you do is you'll see who is your local MP. Now, when engaging with your local MP, you'll sometimes see a lot of scripts, and you can just put in your postcode and send an email to your MP. Any MP will tell you that if you just email an MP with a generic email, they're very unlikely to respond or to respond meaningfully. And just like you send them a blanket email, they're going to send a blanket email back. When you engage on a personal level with an MP, they are far more likely to read it. They're far more likely to engage with it. They're far more likely to take it very serious. One of the problems that we have is when we're sending emails to MPs, we're just taking blanket emails and sending that, and that's not really doing anything. So what you've got to make sure that you do is to make it really personal. When you're sending this email to the MP, I've had good success with this, and I've actually had it, where I used to live, my local MP reach out and actually meet me in person to talk about the Gaza issue. So this is who your local MP is. And ultimately, these are the people who are going to make decisions based upon where you are. So all you have to do is copy and paste that. Now, to make it more engaging, what I would suggest you do is to quickly copy and paste your MP and say on Gaza. What this is going to do is if you just do a little bit of reading, you're going to realize what has my MP been doing up until now with regards to Gaza. That's a way how you can try and make it more personal, more engaging when you're writing your email to them. Once you've done that, you've understood who your MP is, you've understood what have they been saying with regards to Gaza, then what you've got to do is the following. You go into Chatgpt and you're going to write a personalized letter to your MP. It's very easy to do. What you've got to do is make it personal. So you can ask Chatgpt, for example, think like an MP. Write an email to my MP. We know when you're writing an email to your MP, you should have really clear goals that you want from your MP. What exactly do you want to see them push for? So, for example, what I want right now is I want to see a UK stop all weapon sales to Israel. And I also want to see them contributing and helping aid getting into Gaza, for example. Write an email to MP telling them to stop all weapon sales to Israel and to contribute to aid in Gaza. Let's make it a bit personal and let's add some things in there. So, for example, talk about the bombing for the past 2 years. You might want to talk about the famine that's happening right now and the starvation and the unacceptable starvation that has been happening to the Gazan people. And obviously you can be creative and try different things when you're writing. Now, this is the important part, to make it personal. So what you should do is you should talk about who you are. Not only do you talk about who you are, you can talk about whatever influence that you might have. So, for example, I'm a chaplain. So you can say, talk about how I am a chaplain. Because when you start writing things like this, they know that this is not a generic email. They know that you have written this yourself, which means that they are far more likely to read it, to engage with it, and to actually respond meaningfully. Talk about how I am a chaplain at Birmingham University. And for example, and not everyone's going to be, I understand everyone's going to be a chaplain, but everyone's going to have some sort of role. And no matter what it is, reason why it's important is that the MP realizes that people from diverse backgrounds are really engaged with this issue, and it puts a person behind the screen. Who exactly is this person? From whoever you might be, from the taxi drivers to whoever it might be. For example, you could even say, and so many people talk to me about this, if that's what's happening. I've traveled at Birmingham University, and so many students are raising their concerns, for example. And whatever role that you have, you can talk about that. It's also really important to talk about, your vote. And in terms of this issue is extremely important for where your vote is going to go, so that the MP realizes that this is something that is going to an issue that's important for you, and an issue that can decide what the vote is going to be. So, for example, talk about the importance, talk about how this issue will influence your vote and the vote of those around you. Okay, let's see what it says. Here we go. You can now see a very nice kind of email that has been written by ChatGPT. By the way, one thing that you could have added into here is when you've done your research about the MP to make it more specific about them. So you can say something like, I have noticed that you have done X or you haven't done X. That's going to make it even more personal, and to show that you've actually done research about this MP and you're not just writing generic emails. So the more personal that you can make it, the more effective this email is going to be. Um, here you are, that you've got your email. All you've got to do is now of course, you should read it and make sure that this is accurate and see if there's any things that you want to change. But all you've got to do is copy and paste that into your email. It's really important that you actually put your address and your postcode, and that you put the address of the postcode of an address in your MP's constituency, because an MP will never apply to an address that is not in their constituency, not in their locality. So, yeah, these are some really easy steps how you can, inshallah, engage with the MPs. And what I would say is, don't belittle the act that this can do. One of these emails is far more powerful than 10 blanket emails of a blanket thing, because of how personal it is going to be. So I hope that helps, inshallah. And I hope that means that we can do something to help regards to the issue. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.